Welcome to the latest edition of This Racing Life, where we're here in Newmarket to find out a little bit more about international racehorse transport, international buying and international success at the very top level. First up, we're here at the July course to meet jockey Callum Shepherd, who's had a rollercoaster of a year so far in 2024, but has reaped the rewards of patience with a gutsy victory aboard Isle of Jura at Royal Ascot in the Hardwicke Stakes.
Overall, it's been a really good year. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm sort of riding to the best of my ability, and I'm riding for a lot of people that I really enjoy riding for as well. So we've obviously found a really nice horse in Isle of Jura, and but aside from that, I'm sort of getting plenty of rides, and a lot of them are being transferred into winners. So no, things are looking pretty good.
Do you look back that much, or do you always, you kind of person that has to just look at the next ride, or do you take much time to kind of reflect on what's sort of happened yesterday?
No, I think it's all I think that's the beauty of racing, is you're competing every single day, and there's always the next ride and the next big ride to sort of look forward to. So you reflect and learn what you can from the day or the ride that's just gone, and I certainly enjoy the good days, or try to, and but yeah, very quickly it's about the next as I say, the next race and the next big race.
There's obviously a lot of kind of mental strength that goes to the kind of physical strength with it, which I kind of think it must be some sort of family trait with you and your brother, who's also like an athlete at the top of his game. Has his own mental strength from his game kind of helped you? Have you spoken to him much about how much you can transfer that over to each other?
That would probably be quite nice, but we don't talk very much. I think that's more we get on great when we see each other in person, but I think it's more him than me. He wouldn't be the best communicator. If I send him a message, it probably takes him 3 days to reply.
You say that he takes a few days to get back to you, but
yeah,
he took quite quickly to come back to us.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's the
problem. Callum was more of just a ball of aggression, energy. And listen, he tried his best. But in terms of just natural, just looking the part, I would have to say it's yours truly. Now, on the other hand, it's a different question. I think the old boy looks pretty good up top of the ponies, so we'll go with him.
He's very similar, I think, to you in a way, like obviously, but in the fact that you've got a real deep thinking sense approach. When you ask him a question, he's not going to give you a quick answer, which you probably you enjoy seeing, but you can I can see the pair of you very similar in that respect.
Yeah, he I think golf's been golf's such a mental there's a big mental side of the sport which people they've appreciated for longer than we have in racing and things, and they're I think that's something he's worked on for a long time.
It's true, because he wrote a blog after the Open, which I read a little bit of.
Okay.
Just because I went onto his Instagram to see what he's up to, because I don't follow golf that much, but he has a way of words. He likes to write, and when I've seen from you this year a lot. You've used social media, you've written quite a lot as well. Is that just a way that you both quite like to express yourself, or you just have seen it as a good channel and a good outlet?
Yeah, I found that particularly with Stefano. I felt much better I was sort of just thinking about him, and putting it down into words made me feel better, and it was nice that some people who probably didn't know him so well sort of got an insight as to what the person that he was through those words, which I liked, really, to be able to sort of do that for him, and that felt great. He probably maybe Laird works in the same way. So I actually, to say, having not, I haven't lived with him since I was 15. So although we see it, I had it's interesting actually, because it didn't strike me that maybe he used to be so much like that, but maybe he always was. But yeah, like we've lived, we at 15 I sort of moved away, so maybe you miss sort of certain things like that. I wasn't actually less aware of it than maybe I should be. Naturally, as you sort of got a bit older, having been sort of all consumed by it, probably as a teenager and into my 20s, I feel like I found a good work-life balance. I think that's been the most important thing, and now feel sort of very, very, very comfortable. Certainly living in Newmarket and things. It's been a really happy sort of professional base, but sort of a personal one as well. When I was younger, I actually used to spend a lot of time on my own, and I'd sort of figure out what makes me sort of tick is actually is sort of being quite social, and we've got a lot of good friends here, so that's pretty easy.
Our attention has turned to Stuart Williams Racing to meet a jockey very much familiar to international success, that of Italian-born Marco Ghiani, who's embedded himself very much into the life of Newmarket.
I was still a Luca Comani, and I remember I got booked up on a horse of Stuart in an apprentice race. So I came here and rode him out, and unfortunately he didn't run, but he did run the week after, and I was still able to claim in £7, and I think it was my 10th ride or something, and I think he should have won, but I gave it a awful ride. But yeah, after that, when Luca decided to retire, I remember Stuart texting me to offer me the job, and we had a chat with Luca Comani, and he said he was an upcoming trainer, and yeah, I took the job, and it was hard at first, but got used to it, and it worked out very well.
And tell me a bit more about those early years, what the experience was like, because you're growing up as a kind of a child still, but you also got a big responsibility on your shoulders. What was that like? What were the early days in Newmarket like for you?
Well, it was very hard. As I joined the racing school, and I thought I could speak a bit of English, but I didn't. We used to do all the lessons in English, and I had no clue what they were saying whatsoever. But after 6 weeks, I started kind of getting used to the language and understanding more. After that, I remember when I joined Luca, he used to speak to me in English mainly, so I had no other choice to learn it.
Marco's been here quite a while now, and he was champion apprentice while he was with us, and he's worked very hard. He works very hard on his fitness. I think Richard Perham told me he was only the second jockey apprentice that had been through the school that got 100% on the fitness tests, and I think that's a very important thing, is for them to be fit. He's taken a couple of jobs with a couple of owners over the last few years, so that's directed him away a little bit from our string. But those jobs have both run their course now, and he's freelance again. So he's still riding quite a lot of our horses. Rides for Marco Botti quite a lot as well. And I think he's making a really good fist of being a freelance jockey who hasn't got a big stable behind him. It's always difficult. His percentage strike rate winners to rides has always been strong, and I think he's perfectly capable of doing the job if the horse is available.
My dad always used to say, if you're doing something, might as well do it properly. So that was the kind of work ethic that I got, and I just wanted to prove myself that I was better than what people used to tell me back in the day, that I was completely useless, not to even bother. So
really? So people said to you, you're not going to make it?
Yeah, even when I was in Italy and then when I came here, they used to say that, and actually after a year I was here, I was thinking to going back home, and I didn't know how to tell Luca that I was leaving, so I just booked a fly and I sent him a message, and he actually called me, said come in the office and we talk now, and and after a year I took my license. So
Luca said to you, no, Marco, you're staying. So you really owe, yourself right now to that kind of pep talk.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. And in terms of when things might have started changing, when did your confidence start to boost again? When did you actually think, I can actually do this?
Well, I started taking lessons with Michael Hills, and when we used to ride work, we used to have a watch that tell you what speed you're going, so it gave you a bit of confidence what speed you're going, and then on the simulator, and working out and working hard. So just getting a bit of confidence, and then still start giving me the right horses, and
Yeah.
that's when the confidence really went up.
And I remember your association with horses like Real World, you know, riding for Isura, riding in the colours of Godolphin. You're still really young. That must have felt really special.
It was a very special moment, and I really loved the horse. Unfortunately, after York, I couldn't get back on him because all the top jockey wanted to ride him. But that's life. So hopefully we can find a proper one again.
Yeah, and then in between all of that, you know, you've had a family, you've got, you know, 2 children now. Do you feel like Newmarket is home, or do you still feel in the back of your mind one day you might be home to Italy with your children?
Well, no, that's still very far away. But no, Newmarket feels home now. We've got our own house with the kids and the dog and the car, so it feels home.
And your fiancée, I know that at one point she wanted to take out her licence. Do you think that's a dream that might have met its reality now that there's 2 little children around?
No, I don't think she will race right now, but yeah, she did want to be an apprentice, but she ended up getting the amateur license because the weights couldn't drop because she was waiting the baby.
And she was obviously supporting you with the apprentice title at the same time.
Yeah.
What were your memories, your fondest memories of that year?
You know, she's very competitive, so she used to bug me if I give someone a bad ride and I just got a bit of nose. Or yeah, she's very competitive.
And then obviously you go from being an apprentice champion to now, you know, being a professional, and now you're in this time where you're still with Stuart, but you're getting rides, you know, very often. And Stuart was saying that you don't have as attached to specific owners. Do you think that's giving you a lot more freedom to go out and just hunt down better horses?
Yeah, 100%. It's always hard to get on nice horses and to keep them. But look, I'm riding now a lot for lots of different trainers, and similarly they're supporting me. But you know, it's very hard to find a proper Saturday ride on a proper horse.
Yeah. What about when Mick Appleby called you up about Roberto Escobar in the Italian St. Leger? How did that come about?
Well, they were looking for someone that knew the track, and I rode in Italy quite a lot, and I used to ride Felix that was for the same owners. I rode him out for over a year, and I used to ride him when he was a Kumani, when he was a 3-year-old as well. So we had quite a history, and he was the same owner, so yeah, that's when I got the call.
And tell me about that experience, because that's probably one of the most prestigious races that you could ride in, let alone win in a home setting, home crowd. Were your family there? How much did you love that?
You know, no, my family wasn't there. They couldn't make it because it was a Saturday, I think. But no, it was good. I never sat on the horse before. Mick told me that he was going to win. I had just a steery, and he actually did win by 9 lengths.
What about next for Marco Ghiani? What do you, when people say to you, you know, what are your biggest aspirations? What's at the top of your list?
Well, I did win a group race again this year, but I never won a Group 2 or Group 1 yet, so one of them would be great.
With an increase of international buyers at the Tattersalls July sale, international racehorse transport has never been so necessary. We've come to visit Martin Coates of IRT to hear more about the logistics behind transporting some of the world's best racehorses. Hello!
Hi, Jess. Hi.
Martin, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, these are our offices. We're lucky to be based where we are in Newmarket. And yeah, just to give you an idea, here's some pictures of kind of shipments that we've done.
So talk me through what we've got here, what kind of plane, and I suppose what kind of horse this may have been.
So this was actually a charter flight from Europe to the UK. It's a 737, so they tend to be kind of short haul charters. So this is actually a runner coming in. This is a 737 stall, which is slightly lower than a conventional stall, but for short distances it works well. So the horses are literally walked up the ramp onto the aircraft, down through the stall, and then kind of turned around and loaded, and everything's kind of secured in. IRT is an international company that ships horses globally. We're very fortunate because we have quite an extensive network of offices. Australia, New Zealand, Europe, UK and the USA. So one thing that puts us kind of aside from other transporters, is being able to ship to our other offices, and we can offer a door-to-door service.
So obviously, you know, the focus on transport has probably grown a lot in the last few years. There's more, you know, minds and eyes on it as our sport kind of grows. But there's always been that need and wanting to move horses around, probably a lot longer than people kind of know about, based on, you know, the most recent kind of international and globalization of the sport.
Yeah, I think it's something that people don't really think about too much. So, you know, they see international runners at different kind of, you know, races globally, but they don't think how that horse got there and what was involved. So various countries have different requirements, Australia being one of the toughest to ship to. So I think there's a lot more that goes into it than people think.
Why is that? You know, Australia, you say, you know, not just the obvious, it being the furthest place in the world, but it's also, you know, has its own requirements from a health and safety perspective, but they've got their own different ways of doing things. So if a trainer calls you up and says, I want to get my horse to the Melbourne Cup, you know, what is that process?
So for the Melbourne Spring Carnival, we'd probably be kind of starting now. We'd start getting inquiries in now. So we have to make sure a horse meets Australian import requirements. And one of the main reasons for quarantine is equine influenza. So back in 2007, there was an outbreak of flu in Australia. And obviously they've eradicated that now, so they want to make sure that no further disease gets into the country. So there's always been a pre-export quarantine and post-arrival quarantine, but just the complexities of quarantine have got a lot tougher. So for a horse to travel to Australia for the Spring Carnival, they would have to do 2 weeks quarantine in the UK, followed by the flight to Melbourne, and then a further 2 weeks in Melbourne on arrival.
Can you tell me a bit more about some of the biggest moments that you've been involved with personally?
So I think it was 2012 when Black Caviar came over from Australia, so that was quite a special moment. I mean, it's always great to be a part of their journey anyway, but then to have a fantastic result like that was great. So yeah, almost kind of, you know, it makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. It just kind of gels it all together, really. So, but I find really with any shipment we do, it gives you great satisfaction to know you've got that horse from A to B and what's involved. So I think it's raising awareness to what is involved to move a horse overseas. There's a lot more than probably what people think.
And then I suppose 12 years later to see Isura do, you know, in very similar style, that's not just rewarding, but it feels like, you know, this story can continue, especially when we've had, you know, peaks and troughs with the amount of horses that have been coming over for Alaska.
Yeah. No, I think that was an awesome result, fantastic result. I'm so pleased for all the connections. So it certainly kind of rejuvenates kind of the flame and kind of gives people that, Yeah,
and it must be a very busy time of year. You know, got the July sales on across the road from you, literally in walking distance.
Yeah.
You know that plenty of these horses might be set sail for the likes of Bahrain, you know, Australia, as we know. So you have to be at the disposal of purchasers pretty much instantly.
Yeah. So we actually have a base at the sales as well. So we're there to look after our clients. So effectively from fall of hammer, we can take care of their horse and move it from A to B.
So we know all about international transport, now about international buying, purchasing, whatever you like happens at Tattersalls. And Jack Cantillon, who comes to every sale probably in the world, you come to the July sale for plenty of reasons, but you've purchased 3 and you can tell us a little bit more about them.
Yeah, so we bought 3 so far. So the first one was for a friend of mine, Harry Sweeney, Dr. Harry Sweeney in Paka Paka Farm. So she'll be bred in Europe, but actually travel to Japan when she hopefully goes in foal next year. She's a sister to a very good horse by Too Darn Hot called Etsu Pretz, one of the kind of leading stakes fillies for Godolphin this year in Japan. So that's an exciting one for Harry's team. Then we bought a nice mare by Fascinating Rock going to in Foal to Make Believe, who I think is going very well. And then finally we bought a sister to Nighttime, the first classic winner for by Galileo, and she herself is a stakes producer, and it's a lovely family of Gaiash, and she's in Foal to Far, which is a kind of collector's item because Far himself is a little bit subfertile, so to find a mare in Foal to to them at the July sales. It's a really unique opportunity.
And you touched on Japan and the link between, you know, us and our pedigrees over there, and they've done a lot of work to sort of strengthen their bloodstock operation via us. Have you seen that over the years, that they're really trying to invest in us and bring it back over
absolutely.
there?
And they're seeing the rewards. You know, the sister to this filly's that I bought is by Night of Thunder, but her sister, while she's racing in Japan, she's by Too Darn Hot, you know, and that's showing the prowess of the stallions that we have here in England and in Ireland, that the Japanese buyers want to come and invest in the bloodstock here and bring it back and they get success. And I'm sure Harry will have plenty of success with this mare too.
So what happens next for a mare of that ilk? Does she go immediately off? Does she stay here for a bit? Will she be covered by a British sire?
She'll come back to our family farm in Ireland, so Tinnakill House, and then we'll just build towards an early cover next February. Well, let's see what happens with the stallions. I think Too Darn Hot will probably be high on our list, but you know, let's see what Harry wants to do, and let's see what comes of the remainder of the flat season in terms of winners or everything else in between. There could be another few updates hopefully in Japan for Harry as well.
Next up, we pay a visit to the Racing Centre, a charitable organisation which is trying to ensure that the quality of life for those working within the racing industry in Newmarket is as high as it can possibly be.
I'm the Chief Executive of the Racing Centre, formerly the New Astley Club, here in Newmarket, which was established in 1893 by Sir John Astley himself, who was a local MP and horse racing enthusiast, and together with a couple of other donors managed to raise a whopping £3,000 to build the purpose-built facilities, which were actually located on the other side of town, and have since in the 70s moved across here to where we are today.
Okay, John, tell me about the Racing Centre, so where we are and what it is.
Yeah, of course. So this is obviously our reception area, as you can tell. So we've got a couple of different aspects to it here. We've got a couple of even our little health station that we've got. So this is the size 2 machine. It does body analysis, it does blood pressure, it checks your stroke risk as well, and that's all free of charge, so anyone who comes in here can use that. But obviously this is what we've developed in 2020 with the Foundation's funding, and we've developed it to what it is. So you walk into the building, it's open, it's light, it's welcoming, it's inclusive, and it's what we want the feel and the culture to be within the building. So, you know, we've got the cafe here, we've got the gym that side, we've got all of our tenants upstairs, which is great. So, you know, the real USP for someone seeking any sort of support is that they can come in here, there's no judgment, there's no, you know, the anonymity of the building is just fantastic. So whether or not you're here for a mental health crisis or you want to use the gym or the cafe, no one knows until you actually knock on that door, which is fantastic. And that's what we want people to feel. We want them to feel like they can come in here, be welcomed and get the support that they need. We have a real issue within Newmarket that we're trying to help address, and that is we have a lot of youngsters that come into the industry. They love horses, which is why a lot of people stay within the industry, but they get a large disposable income at quite a young age without the supervision that they probably would have in any other setting. So there is a lot of work that's being done to address some of those issues. I mean, this is obviously the most impact that we've got within the building at the moment. This is the food bank, so you know, everything from your staples right up to nicer products. So anyone who's in sort of food poverty will come here, seek the support that they've got, we'll get a parcel, and we'll probably work on a 6-week referral period where they'll get support on a regular basis to assist them on their, you know, some of their most primary needs as humans. So but the benefit of having it here is it's all within the building. So we've got the debt advice upstairs, we've got the employment issue, the employment guys upstairs as well. So anything that, you know, might be associated to financial, we can deal with within the building, but we can address the primary need, which is food, which is fantastic. So this is run by Newmarket Open Door. They have got this lovely room, which is the Jennings Bet and the and another on the other side, and yeah, it's all volunteer run, so volunteer led, and it's just a great impact that we've got within the building. Again, that anonymity of coming through the centre, seeing, you know, all the different aspects of it. There's no judgment until they actually knock on the door. So when people turn up here, they don't feel like they're being judged. They can come in and get the support that they need. What we also offer, and it's part of the occupational health and racing welfare aspect of it, is a year's free gym membership to anyone that's been in any sort of education setting from either of the horse racing colleges. So they can get a year's free membership with us, they can come into the gym. If they want to progress to apprentice stage, they can do that. And every now and then we have Magnolia Cup rider who will come through. So Khadijah's a classic example. She came to us when she was going to fail her fitness exam essentially, and she said, help, I need to get there, I need to get on this horse, it's important that I represent the Islamic community on such a stage. And we were able to facilitate that and get her to where she won the race essentially. They come out of the BRS and all these other institutes at a very young age. A lot of them don't have the wherewithal to be able to deal with finances, particularly personal finances, a rent or lease agreement on a property or any of these other things. So I know that there's a lot of initiatives to get that going, and they're developing some land up at the BRS as well to help with that. And you know, it's getting them in here, getting them into a healthy environment, getting them into some sort of stable aspect of their professional career. A lot of them, they are starting out, so it will be their first job. So there are going to be some stumbling blocks, as most of us have probably been through at some point in our lives. But you know, the health and well-being is a massive help in all of that. So if we can get them into the gym, get them here on a regular basis, it will build on that sustainability of, you know, having a stable career within the industry and hopefully having a long career as well.
As they now work their way inside the final 200, American flag could be treading water, and on the near side here comes Isle of Jura, and Isle of Jura is in firm command. Isle of Jura is having a cracking winter with some
Probably a good way just to talk about what's happened this year. We'll start in 2024 because I actually remember, you probably won't, in January interviewing you at Kempton on like a Wednesday evening, and I asked you about Rocket Rodney, that you were going to ride in Bahrain. I think it was like the next day, and you said, no, it's Isle of Jura.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, okay, take that, Jess, and use it. You always had like some ingrained confidence in the horse, and you're kind of riding on a bit of a crest of a wave. What was that you had seen in his sort of handicapping early stages that you thought, you know, this isn't it, it's going to be next year?
That's very well remembered. There was always something about him. Obviously he was extremely well bred and expensive only in regards to what he achieved on his first start, which and you can see why he was sort of down the field in a Wolves maiden or novice at that stage. A really big horse, enormous, and whatever he was sort of going to do at 2 and 3, he was always going to improve. And it's funny because even his homework was always like not impressive. He was never that impressive, but there was something about him where we thought, going into the first very humble beginnings, I think it was a 0 to 70 at Newbury, and if you're anywhere near a good horse, you should be winning that very impressively. But that was the first confirmation that we're working with a potentially really nice horse, and whether that was a really good handicapper or something better at that stage, I'm not sure. But we always took him really seriously. And George was excellent. He won 2 poor races. He went to Haydock and got turned over. And George just did the right thing. He sort of pulled up stumps at that stage, gave him a break, brought him back and prepared him for Bahrain. I remember George asked me to go out a few days early to ride him off the plane. You know, obviously sort of missed a bit of racing here to sort of go and do that. You know, that's a sort of, we took him really seriously, and obviously he was going to Bahrain and representing Victorious Racing and Sheikh Nasser. So it was more important than it maybe people would think. It meant a great deal to us that he went out there and put on a good show for them, and he certainly did that.
If you look at the likes of the Ushins, the William Buicks, the James Doyles, you know, and they've got these retainers and they are riding all over the world. That's what you want to do. Is that something that you think, you know, I need to aspire for things like a retainer, or are you happy just to see how it goes and just pans out the way it should do? Yeah,
I'm very happy with the sort of niche I've got at the moment with who I'm riding for, and look, if a big offer comes along, obviously you sort of take it as and when, weigh up the pros and cons. But no, it's not even in my mind. Just I'm happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing, who I'm riding for, and you know, whatever happens, happens.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of This Racing Life, and a big thank you to the Racing Centre, to IRT, Callum Shepherd, Marco Ghiani, and everyone here at the sales. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.